Hey everybody, Felix Staffelbaker here. I really wanted to make a video on what I kind of see playing out in the next little while. And when I look ahead at what could be happening and what could take place, immediately I see the U.S. elections. I see those not going very smoothly. If they go very smoothly, so there's two paths really. One path is pretty much all good, and the other path is pretty much so terrible that we hit the bottom and bounce off, and before we make a move higher. So let me kind of lay out both scenarios. So what I see if everything goes calmly is that there's no second round of a virus, there's no another set of lockdowns, regardless of who actually wins. The election goes off and somebody's elected, and the country basically agrees whoever was elected. You're going to have people who don't like it either way, but the people, decide, and that's how it is. And then what would happen in that scenario, I think, is we move forward, and come the new year, Bitcoin starts to emerge in a lot of the third world countries like Africa, where Jack Dorsey has been living and trying to get Bitcoin going for a little while now. And we're going to see a country like China or a big country start to dump treasuries or use a crypto-backed state-issued coin, some type of thing like that, and that's going to propel cryptos into the spotlight and really provide the platform launch for where we're kind of headed, which is all-time highs, and then obviously much, much higher than that before we peak out. And then the other scenario I kind of see is where we have a second round of virus that hits hard before the election. There's even more unrest, potentially large-scale I would say attacks, terror attacks, domestic terror attacks, and blame shifted all around to the point of destabilizing the country. We have an election that doesn't get a result right away, drags out, and the final result is in dispute the whole time. There's not a peaceful transition to power. And what we would see, or I think that we would see in that scenario, is a country that is strong, like China, even though they had the virus start there and it affected them greatly. They've almost completely recovered as far as people going back to work. They filled in workers with the Uyghurs and people like that. And so in that scenario, China would become basically a world reserve currency nation, whatever they end up deciding, or a country of that level, potentially even one that's in the United Nations. And we would really see the end of the dollar. Everyone would go into a new system, and I think that would be probably the worst, obviously, for everybody involved. But I think either way, what we're going to see is much more unrest, and we're going to see much more fallout from everything that's been going on. And what I also think simultaneously is going to happen is the people who have been invested in cryptos like EOS and Bitcoin and a handful of others that are scheduled to become the new system that they move from, that's the thing, is either way, no matter which scenario, I think that there's a new system coming either way. It's just, do we get there? I kind of see it as, do we take the freeway on a smooth path, or do we avoid an animal that comes out in the road, so to speak, and have to go off of the road and, you know, drive basically on super bumpy path for a little bit until, you know, we're both going to the same destination. It's just one may be a very rocky and chaotic detour, and I think that you know, once we get into a new system, that the people who've invested are going to exponentially increase their wealth and their ability to move, because at first you'll have hyperinflation and everything moving up in price, absolutely bubbling up and melting up, and then you'll have the asset depreciation after that, where you'll be able to move in with your money that you make in crypto and be able to buy up assets, large homes and whole neighborhoods and things for pennies on the dollar, and you'll be able to capitalize on it. And, you know, it's not something to have to fight with ethically or morally, because this is going to happen regardless of basically what anybody does. Before we had a pandemic, all of this was going to take place, and a lot of people don't realize that. They kind of feel like this is all on set right away, but this has always been the plan, and the economy has always been terrible, even though the FANG stocks and even though certain bits of the market have been propped up so hard due to Fed printing and other bogus policies of politicians and bankers. And so I just wanted to put that out there, because I think not a lot of people are taking that into account. So I just want to put that out there. Stoffel Baker out.